Hey guys, we're going to be going back to Anima for an alternative clear using different units than my first clear. My first clear was a perfect score, so if you want to see that video, I'll link it in the comments. But this is going to be an alternative clear if you don't have the same units or setup that I used in my original clear. These are all new units. Now I want to say real quick some comments I've gotten about these alternative clears. These are not meant to be a budget clear. Just the nature of Dark Visions, a budget clear is not really something like you really build for. You basically use the best units you possibly have and try to get a strategy that works with them. So the reason for me showing these alternate teams is not for you to copy it, point for point. It's to give you an idea of like a second strategy to use if you don't have the same units and stuff that I used in my first clear. So it's still using, good gear, pretty good units and all. It's just a different strategy, not really a cheaper strategy. So anyway, this is going to be the team. We're going to be doing light elements. So notice we're on the light element party this time. To start off, we're going to be using Kamari. He's going to be built for Dragoon damage. He's a jumper. He's going to be jumping on turn 2, but he's important because he does double Mirage on turn 1. That's really important for avoiding all the turn 1 damage. Now his resistance is not important because he'll be in the air on turn 2 when resistance would matter. So his resistance is not important. Now notice Kamari is special in that his jump is a blue magic jump, which means it's classified as magic and it will not dual wield if he's dual wielding. It only hits once. So don't dual wield Kamari, build him for true double hand for the extra variance. So give him a good bow or a good gun if you have it that are two-handed for that good variance roll. So he's going to be doing Mirage on turn 1, jumping on turn 2, capping his jump on turn 3. Regina is going to be just built for capping. That's all she's going to do. And she's going to use Holy Torch on turn 1 to dispel the boss's preemptive buffs. Now the whole team, other than Kamari, needs to have 30% ice and dark resist. We only need 30% to each because we're using a turn 1 70% buff to each of those. So Regina built for undead killing, and she's going to be capping on turn 3 and dispelling on turn 1 with an item. Cloud is going to be capping his LB on turn 3. He's built for undead killer LB damage, and he's got 30 or better ice and dark resist. We don't need to worry about blind and all that because we're going to be using Rena. On turn 1, she's going to be giving us immunity to stop as well as all status effects. She's going to be imbuing Holy on turn 2, which gives us a Holy Imbue for the whole team and a 120 Holy Imperil. And she's our passive provoke evasion tank. She's a little bit easier to gear for passive provoke evasion because she's got some natural evasion. I think it's like 10 or 15%. It's not much, but it's something. And she only needs 30% to dark and holy resist. I'm sorry, dark and ice resist. She doesn't need the full 100 because we are buffing on turn 1. So just 30% to ice and dark is all she needs. Elena is going to be the one providing that resistance buff I mentioned. Her Way of the Aurora gives a 70% buff to lots of elements, but ice and dark are the important ones. She's going to be also chaining AR on turn 3 for the chain count score. So we've geared her for attack power and undead killer, and she's got 30 ice and dark resist. And then Roberta is going to be the last unit. She'll be chaining AR on turn 3 as well. Now she's a little tricky because we need her LB to be filled by turn 2. It only costs 24 crystals. It's not that expensive. We're going to be buffing LB fill rate on turn 1. We're going to be chaining a little bit with some units on turn 1. So her LB does a 74% defense and spirit break. That's going to be our breaker. Now we've geared her for 11 LB per turn, so she only needs 13. We're doing a 200% fill rate buff with Rena. So she only needs like 4 crystal drops across 2 turns to get her LB filled, which is pretty reasonable to do. Now the last bit of RNG on this clear is, like my first video, we have to have the boss use Power of Shadow Dark on turn 1. It's a 50-50 chance if he chooses Dark or Ice. If he chooses Power of Shadow Ice, that's a big Imperil. We're not geared for that high of an Imperil, so we're going to take damage and ruin our score. So we're just going to go in and use 15 energy per attempt until the boss decides to use Power of Dark on turn 1. It's a 50-50 chance. It shouldn't take more than, at the most, 3 attempts. So I'll see you in a moment for the first attempt. Alright guys, let's give this a go on Dark Anima. See if he cooperates and gives us a nice Power of Dark on the first try. And we also need to fill Roberta's LB by turn 2, which is not that hard to do. It's a pretty cheap LB, and we gave her lots of autofill gear. Alright, come on, load it up. Alright, so here's the ambush where the boss buffs his defense and spirit, which would obviously lower our damage. So we're going to use Regina to just Holy Torch that buff away. Alright, Rena is going to buff Enhance Dispel. That gives us all the immunities, including Stop. And then we're going to use Haste for the Limit Burst fill rate buff. Alright, Elena is going to Aurora Arts and Way of the Aurora. That gets her ready for turn 2, and it also buffs our resistance. Kamari is going to Reflex for the double Mirage on turn 1. Cloud is going to triple. We're going to full throttle, and then we're just going to double spin drive. That's just for crystal drops to try to get some for Roberta. Roberta is going to piercing, use her latent, and we're going to use her Rain of Spears. It hits a lot of times. Hopefully these crystals go to Roberta. Get some luck here. We got a few crystals. We're good. So I think she needs 2 more crystals on the second turn, and we are going to be dealing some damage on this turn. Now we're looking for Power of Shadow Dark. We got Power of Shadow Dark, outstanding. So we're doing good. Alright, Elena's going to LB here. Cloud is going to triple spin drive here. And we need these to give a crystal to Roberta. We need to fill her LB. So looking for a little bit of luck here. It's a lot of crystal drops. We should get it. We got it. Okay, yeah. Roberta's LB is not that hard to fill. So we're going to go ahead and use Roberta to break the boss. That's her defense and spirit break. Regina has nothing to do this turn. We can discard. Rena is going to fix Cloud to imbue our team, and if we didn't get Roberta's LB, we could have used Light Cross for even more attacks. Rena has nothing else to do this turn. Actually, we got all the crystal drops already, and then Kamari is going to go ahead and jump Final Fantasy X. All right, so there's the dark attack, but we're immune from the 30%. Here's the ice attack that we're immune to from the 70% buff. So we've taken no damage, and now we're going to go for that kill on this turn. If we had been lucky and gotten Rena's LB, we could have used her LB to buff here, but we didn't get it, and we're not going to use her to do anything because we don't want to break the chain. Actually, now that I think about it, we're going to... we'll Libra the boss. Why not? Just for the fun of it. The Libra is not required for the strategy, by the way. So we're going to go ahead and cap with Regina. Yes, Libra. We're going to LB with Cloud. And then Elena is only going to double cast AR because we're not going to triple it because Roberta is only double casting and you don't want to mismatch chains. So Roberta is going to AR as well. So we're going to go ahead and start Regina. Wait, 1, 2. Then go ahead and start everyone else. And as soon as the chain builds, we drop Kamari. Cloud caps. Yeah, as you saw, that damage was not super impressive. Cloud and Regina definitely carried it. 0.8. I mean, ugh. Yeah, we had no Undead Killer buff for the team. This fight is going to be one that really benefits from having Zahn. But I mean, if you don't have him, you don't have him. Yeah, not being able to spread any kind of killers whatsoever for the team is a huge damage loss. Is there any unit that actually does Undead Killer for the team without having it stolen? Like actually casting Undead? I think 7-star Regis can buff Undead Killer. I don't have Regis, so I can't use him as an example. But I do believe Regis can buff the team's Undead Killer. That would increase damage quite a bit if you have Regis. Assuming he does, I think he does. You might want to double check the wiki. I should have done that before this video. But anyway, there's the perfect score other than damage. We did 14 out of 30. It's respectable. So there's Anima. So that's it for today's Dark Visions. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Area 4 with Dark Alexander. Later.